Hey guys, it's been a hot minute. I kind of ended up running into a few hiccups and had to focus on dealing with those. So back problems are not fun. It's been about, I think, 3 or 4 weeks since I think I ended up dislocating my SI joint and jacking up one of my lumbar vertebrae pretty good. And so that's kind of kept me out of action for a little bit. But that being said, I'm out of breath. I'm out here doing my walk and jog to kind of rebuild my cardiovascular health, because I'm gonna tell you something. There are a lot of fundamentals that go into everyday things that we don't even think about. So running is actually really complex. You think it's simple. No, just run. No, it's not. Howdy. It's having the correct equipment, you know. If you're out there jogging in cotton everything, you're probably gonna have a bad time. If you're out there running in shoes that don't fit, you're probably gonna have a really bad time. If your body mechanics are off, you're gonna have a bad time. You know, you may be able to get through it, but I doubt it's gonna be fun. And I'm just focusing on taking deep breaths all the way down from the diaphragm there. So one of the things that I've struggled with for a long time is my breathing. I did track in high school, but I didn't actually do track. I did high jump, so not really comparable in terms of running and breathing and all that. What I did was mostly anaerobic. So there you have that. But when we had to do sprints and stuff like that, oh my God, I just about passed out. I was out there wheezing like, you know, I couldn't breathe. So nobody ever took the time to check that out and be like, hey, what's going on with you? Like, do you know how to breathe? I mean, it seems like a really dumb thing, but when you don't know how to breathe, it affects your ability to run big time. So back in 2016, you know, I had decided I was going to get out of that abusive relationship that I was in. And, you know, part of that was reclaiming my health. And I decided, you know, I'm going to go do this race in my hometown. And I had to get in shape for it. You know, it's just about 7.5 miles, and if you're out of shape, man, 7.5 miles is a long way. So, look, horses, nay. You know, you got to train for this stuff. And first and foremost, my problem was shoes, right? So I've got kind of weird feet. I've got like platypus feet, where my heels are kind of narrow, but the front of my foot is like this, like wide. And if you know anything about how normal running shoes are built, they're very skinny in the front and they don't allow the foot to spread out at all. So I ended up with a lot of pain for that. But I kept trying, I kept running these shoes, I kept trying different shoes. And doing a lot of research. You know, I researched body mechanics because I was trying way too hard with how I was running, and I was putting way too much effort into it, and that was backfiring on me big time. So, you know, I decided, hey, I gotta figure out what I'm doing here, because when I look at most people who run, you know, and they've been doing it for a while, they ran in high school or they did whatever, you know, they did cross country or distance. It's not hard for them. Like they make it look really easy. They're not flopping all over the place. So what am I doing wrong, right? What do I need to be doing better? And so I looked up YouTube videos on body mechanics when you run. You know, I'd been heel striking and I didn't know any different, you know? So, I'm saying you know a lot. Oh, I gotta stop that. So that was one of the first things I had to work on. Another thing I had to work on was all of the movement in my body, just tightening that up because it was taking so much energy, you know, and it was, there it is again, making me work so much harder. So that was even more problematic with my breathing. Sinuses, yay. Somebody's got a bonfire going back there. Yay. So, that being said, there's a lot that I had to work on. And I say a lot, I mean a lot. And, you know, I got through the race. I actually found a pair of shoes the day before that I had researched. And I was like, oh, I'm going to try these shoes because I bet they're way better than what I've been using. And I couldn't find that brand where I was. So I went and bought those shoes and raced in them the next day. 7.5 miles. And I didn't have any blisters, which was amazing. So that one told me, hey, you know, I've made a pretty decent choice here. And two, it's not that my feet are messed up. It's that I was not running in the right shoes. So the point that I want to make here is maybe there's not something wrong with you. If you're trying something and you are trying something and you really just, you want to do it, but you are freaking struggling, maybe it's not that there's something wrong with you. Maybe it's that you don't have the tools. You know what I mean? You don't have the skills yet to be able to do it. And it is working on those skills. It is building those skills individually, because running is not just one thing. Like I said, it is an amalgamation of a ton of skills. Like for me, breathing, like right now you can hear, I had to teach myself how to breathe when I ran. Now, most of us in everyday life, we only use like from here up of our lungs. We don't breathe from down here. You know, we don't take deep breaths. And that can be kind of problematic for our nervous system too, because our breathing regulates so much. And when we're not consciously in control of that and taking deep breaths, then we can end up really kind of short-circuiting our nervous system in some ways. Because it puts us more in a reactive state, where when we're deep breathing, like from down here, it puts us in more of an executive function, prefrontal cortex state. So, fun fact. Try deep breathing more often. See if it helps. See if you feel different, if you feel better. So one of the things that I'm doing today, and this is actually the first day that I've been able to run without my lower back going, oh, you suck, is it's a yay. I actually had to go to the chiropractor because it was so bad I could barely move. And you know, anytime I had to move or get up or shift or whatever, I couldn't help it. I was growling. I was like, And I have a really high pain tolerance, so when I'm making noise about something, you know it's bad. And like for a long time, I was taught to mask my pain. I was taught to not show weakness. So if I'm making an issue about it, it's an issue, and it's probably a much bigger issue than you think it is. So that's actually one of the things that'll lead you to get in or stay in a relationship where you are not being treated well, is if you've developed a tolerance for that kind of thing, and you have been taught to not show weakness, you have been taught to not speak up about it, not say anything about it. And it's hard, it can be really hard to stand up for yourself with that. See, I was easily injured as a child, and so don't you do it. I ended up getting called a baby, and oh yeah, there's an old Dodge over there. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. It's a Coronet, I think. Maybe? I can't tell. I'm blind. I'm not actually blind, I just have a little bit of astigmatism. So it makes reading small print far away a little challenging. Anyway, where in the heck was I? Boy, oh boy, I saw a car, I got derailed. Thanks, Scott. Anyway. Wow. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna have to kind of start from where the heck I think I was. But, oh yeah, the tolerance thing. You know, you develop this pain tolerance, and a lot of times it'll lead us to get into or stay in situations where we are actually endangering ourselves by not doing something about it, and we don't even realize it because we've become so accustomed to it. And or we think, oh, this is just how it is, or oh, I just have to tolerate this, or whatever it might be. You know, we get stuck in that. We build this narrative around it where we're just like, oh, yeah, this is just what I have to accept, and I can't speak up about it. I can't do anything about it, and that really renders us powerless. You know, if we believe that and we act accordingly, man, we just give away all of our power. And it's a really dangerous mindset, and it can be easy to get into, especially if you're isolated, right? So, a lot of times you have abusers who mock you or make fun of you, or, you know, call you a baby, or, you know, say that you're the problem for bringing up the problem. And okay, I had to make sure my sock was up far enough and my shoe wasn't chafing because I can feel something. Anyway, when you're dealing with a situation like that, it can get really cloudy, really fuzzy, and you can sink into that and end up believing that you just have to tolerate it, you just have to put up with it. And maybe, you know, your abuser is holding the kids over your head. Maybe the abuser is saying, you know, I'm going to take everything you got if you try to leave, if you try to speak up, if you try to report me. I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to make you suffer. I'm going to make you pay, and there's nothing you can do about it. And when you're in that situation, it is so dang hard to see, you know, anything else. Do I regret the decision that I made in leaving? I mean, not really. I didn't leave knowing that I wasn't going to see my daughter in person again. I had assumed and taken on good faith that her father was, not going to be an asshole. And that he would abide by the agreement that we had made, that we would do school year with one parent, the rest of the year with the other parent. That was the agreement. But then he decided all of his own accord that no, that was not going to be the case, and that I was a danger to her. So the story changed when I refused to come back, and he refused to regain control over me. And could I have gone back and still had a relationship with my daughter? Possibly. But at the same time, I am painfully aware that relationship would have been undermined. I would not have been a healthy person because I would not have been able to get away from the abuse. And it took some really horrific stuff for me to have had enough to say, I have got to protect myself. I've got to protect myself. Because I cannot be a good mother if I stay in this abusive situation. Because I am never going to develop into who I could be if I am always in survival mode, if I'm always constantly trying to protect myself and avoid the wrath spillover onto my daughter from when I do protect myself. So it's a catch-22. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. It all depends on the choices that you're ultimately going to make. That's up to you. Are they easy choices to make? Absolutely not. But I know for a fact that I would not be the person I am today if I had stayed, if I had believed that, continued to believe that, what the abuser was trying to cram down my throat. My life would have been so much worse for it, and I would not have stood a chance of being a healthy individual. As a matter of fact, I probably would have done more harm to my daughter having stayed and not having been a healthy person. I left because I did not want to give her that example. Of course, I thought that she was going to be with me part of the year and that I would be able to continue to have a relationship with her, but what's done is done. I can't undo that. I'm doing everything that I can to better myself so that maybe one day when she does, if she does, have contact with me again, meaningful contact, she will actually realize that I was trying to do what was best for her because I loved her. Anyway, I digress. I was going somewhere with all of that. And I know I had a point when I started on it. But something that I've really come to realize is that not a lot of people really end up getting out of these situations because of the stuff that I'm talking about. You've got bullying, you've got coercion, you've got so much that you're trying to work against in order to just survive and exist. And when you're doing that, you know, you're plugging along in shoes that don't fit. You can't breathe. Probably can't breathe. And if you can, congratulations, because you're one of the few. It's a struggle. Life is a struggle. You know, going back to the breathing thing again, I had to teach myself how to breathe. Just like I've had to learn emotional regulation for myself. I've had to learn how to do that crap. And it's not crap, but it's crap having to learn it. It's not the realizations that you have of how you've lived your life prior to the point of learning it. Oh my God, dude, it's embarrassing. But at the same time, it's also kind of not embarrassing because nobody freaking taught you. You didn't know. And how are you expected to know something when nobody told you?